It's almost Christmas. Have you watched enough Christmas movies yet? This is a weird time of year when it comes to movies. I rewatch the same holiday movies every year, and I watch them more than my favorite movies of all time. Do you do that? Why do we do that?
Tradition!
And some of these movies are just mediocre to me in the grand scheme of all movies. My name's Jenna, and I'll be ranking my favorite Christmas movies, the movies I watch every year from Thanksgiving all the way until Christmas Day. After that, I could care less. Before I get into it, let me know what your ranking is in the comments below.
The movie that earns the number 10 spot for me is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964. It's more of a television special, but I own it on DVD, so this kind of works out. It's honestly here out of nostalgia. I love to have that nostalgic feeling. I really just, at this point, have to have it on as background noise anymore, though. This was one of those films that hasn't really aged that well. I always wanted to watch it every year growing up, even though I wasn't really into the Christmas traditions when I was younger, but I always wanted to catch it on TV. I watch it now and I'm horrified at how rude everyone is to each other. Like, Santa, man, what's up? Like, what's wrong, dude? And Donner, dang, man. Now, the look of this film is amazing. I love the puppets. It just has a classic Christmas look and feel, and it just gets you into that Christmas mood, and I love that about it. And I love the songs so much. They're really fun throughout. Kids get their presents in the end, and Rudolph owns it during the storm. All is right in the world. So I guess it all works out. Everyone's happy, and yeah, thanks for the memories, Rudolph. Number 9 goes to Santa Claus 1 for me. It's tradition to watch this one every year in my house, and I really like this film for the time period. It really reminds me of my childhood. It also has that realistic element, which I do like in a lot of movies. It's got the divorced parents and the child not really being into hanging out with his dad. It's not fun. It's not the fun house. But it also has that fantasy magic to it as Tim Allen's character becomes Santa Claus. I really like his transition into Santa. He's almost in disbelief as he sees a doctor for his weight gain and rapid hair growth. Hey, we've all been there. The thing that loses it for me, though, are the children as elves. I don't know if anybody else has that same feeling, but I would have much preferred that done differently. It kind of takes me out of the movie sometimes with lines like, I'm seeing somebody in rapping. A side note, I really liked Santa Claus 2 and 3 as well. I just don't like the Santa Claus clone in 2. It's freaking creepy and weird. But I love the trippy time warp scene in Santa Claus 3 where Santa Claus goes back to the night that he became Santa Claus. I thought that was really cool. Number 8's a newer one for me. I give this spot to Noel, Disney Plus's first original Christmas film that was released in 2019. I just watched it for the first time this year and I loved it. It was so cute, and I think Anna Kendrick did a great job as her character. She was so fun and cheery. It's always fun to watch how people interact with that oddball character, which is kind of what Anna Kendrick was to everyone in the real world. I think it was done really well. I tend to like these more modern Christmas movies, I'm noticing. The CGI is just so much better, the graphics and whatever effects are used. Not to harp on Santa Claus, but watching it now makes me lose some of its magic. The CGI and the effects are just not as believable as in Noel, and understandably so, but I just like that about Noel. I can definitely see Noel being a Christmas film that I want to watch each year. It may even end up ranking higher on this list. Time will tell. Number 7 is going to go to Jingle All The Way. This one is one of those films that are supposed to be realistic, which I like, but it's probably one of the least on this list. Now hear me out. So it's about a dad who needs to get his kid the most popular toy of the season for Christmas, Turbo Man, but he runs into a lot of obstacles in his attempts to get it. In the end, a heartfelt lesson is learned, and the slacker dad wins the day. I really liked Arnold Schwarzenegger as Howard and Sinbad as Myron in this film. I think they were cast really well. Fun fact, but obvious fact, I think, Phil Hartman, who voiced Lionel Hutz in The Simpsons, played Ted in this film, which was freaking crazy to me because I'm like, you're Lionel Hutz, you're not this guy Ted. It was wild. But anyways, this film has such a 90s feel to it. I remember there was always a popular toy that everyone wanted every year, and it was such a big deal for parents to get. You'd see people fighting for him on the news, so it really captured that stressful time in parents' lives. This is a really easy movie to watch, but man, I can't help but get myself lost into the situations they get themselves into. Like, why do you gotta lie to your wife so much? And I personally would have been done trying to find Turbo Man the moment I got into that ruckus with all the people at the toy store right in the morning. And you know Sinbad's character was facing life in prison for all the crimes he committed. And Arnold's character shouldn't have gotten off scot-free either. He was facing some hefty charges himself, including jail time for sure. I guess unless you're Turbo Man. Number 6 is going to go to Christmas Vacation for me. I actually didn't grow up on this film. I saw it for the first time when I was in high school. It's just one of those more realistic films that you could really see yourself, put yourself into that situation. You may have family members or relatives like it. Clark Griswold has those high expectations for Christmas, and he's always hoping his family is just as excited about Christmas as he is, but that's not always the case. I think the work environment's relatable, your boss screwing you over, etc. I think some of my favorite parts do have to do with Cousin Eddie, played by Randy Quaid. I think he does a really good job with his character. And I do like Ellen, played by Beverly D'Angelo. I think she does a really good job in complimenting Clark, just kind of being very mild-tempered and just letting Clark do what he wants to do, but even if it makes her a little uneasy. This one has just become kind of a classic film that we watch in my household every year. It's just kind of nice and easy to watch. I'm going to give number 5 to Home Alone 2. I'm only going to do one movie per franchise, so I had to give this one to Home Alone 2. I went back and forth on this for a while, and I think by this time in the franchise, Kevin, he's more mature, a little more ornery. He's just more skilled with his pranks, and he's just more mischievous, and I like that about him. And Home Alone 2 also still has such a Christmas feel with the setting being in New York, even though I think I do prefer the setting of Home Alone 1 in the big house. They're both so good, it's hard to pick because they're both very similar movies. I think that's a good thing when a sequel can be better or just as good as the original film. That does not always happen. So I actually watched the Home Alone films quite a bit when I was younger, and I enjoyed them. They've just become a staple in my household. But I do remember always feeling dumb as a kid watching Kevin create all of these booby traps and all these pranks. I thought I was supposed to know how to do all of these things at that age, and I just felt dumb. I didn't understand. From here on out is where I can say that I legitimately like all of these movies, and I don't watch them only out of tradition. Well, I do like all the movies on this list. Some of them I tend to watch them out of tradition more than just them being favorite movies of mine. But the next 4 I do look forward to watching every year, and I even wouldn't mind watching a couple of times each season. So number 4 is going to go to Elf. This one is just done so well. Will Ferrell was great in this film, and I found myself laughing out loud a lot at the scenes. His character, Buddy, was really likable with its innocence and being so lovable. It's a different story about Christmas. You don't ever get too many stories about elves, even though Buddy wasn't technically an elf, but human raised as an elf. But this is just a good, more modern Christmas film that looks very good, and I guess we have to thank Jon Favreau for this one in part, since I guess we're all thanking for The Mandalorian lately. So, but yeah, this one's just fun. Will Ferrell's always good. Now these next 3, these are my must watches every year, and in fact I've already watched 2 of these twice this season already. Now this was really hard to come up with my top 3, but I have to give number 3 to Four Christmases. It took me a while to realize how much I liked this one. I always wanted to deny that it wasn't one of my favorites because it wasn't like deemed a classic or anything. But I wanted to watch it each year, and I'd get it from the library, and I'm like, I think this is one of my favorites. So I did eventually buy it, and now I have it forever. So I don't know why, but I tend to like films that have people who aren't really down with the Christmas tradition. I guess that's usually the problem in a lot of these movies anyways. I guess I kind of grew up in a way where we didn't celebrate too hardcore for Christmas, and I almost didn't know those people really existed until I became an adult. This film was actually really relatable because I feel like I'm always stuck going to 3 or 4 Christmases each year, so I was already drawn to it in that way. But I really love the 2 main characters, Kate and Brad. They're so selfish and think that they're so aware, and they're the right ones in their families, and they're the ones doing life best, and they're the normal ones. They're too good to spend time with their families, but they end up having to. And they learn that they are not as right about life and their decisions in life as they thought. My favorite scenes are with Brad's family personally. I just love how uncomfortable Kate and Brad are with being there. They overspent on Christmas gifts, not realizing there was a cap. I loved the sister-in-law, Susan. She was great, and I just wanted to see more of her. I almost hoped there was like a sequel so that we could see more of her. They casted her really well. I love the scene where her and Denver are playing Taboo, and they just freaking own it, which while preparing for this video, I realized that Jon Favreau played Denver. I was like, wait, what? I didn't even realize it. And I'm looking up pictures of him currently. I'm like, it doesn't even look like him. But yeah, fun fact. He's in 4 Christmases and he is freaking hilarious. Number 2 for me is going to go to Bad Moms Christmas. Man, this one is so good, but it's not family friendly. I'm really not into like raunchy type films, vulgar kind of films, but this one is done so freaking well. So I love the first Bad Moms movie, and they did Bad Moms Christmas better. If you've not seen either, or you've just seen the first one, you've got to watch Bad Moms Christmas. The cast is great. Kudos to the casting director on that one. It's legitimately just a funny film. There's lots of laughs, and it's even quite relatable. I think a lot of people can see themselves as one of the moms, or has had a mom or a dad that's either super critical, overbearing, or absent. I just love how honest this film is, and I really hope they continue this franchise. They definitely set it up to be continued that way, but they could do so much more, like a Bad Mom's Wedding, perhaps. I think with the time period with this film coming out in 2017, it makes it really relatable to a lot of women, and I just really love the cast, the moms and the daughters. They did very well. I've got to give this one to probably Carla, played by Katherine Hahn, is my favorite. She's very funny. There's just moments though where you really feel for her and you see the pain in her heart over her relationship with her mother, and she just does so freaking well in this movie. And number 1 is going to have to go to Daddy's Home 2. I battled back and forth with this and Bad Moms Christmas because let's be real, they are like the same movies. I don't know why they did that. They both came out in 2017 and they're pretty identical. The mom's mothers come into town for Christmas and Bad Moms Christmas, and the moms are like, what? And the dads are coming into town for Christmas and Daddy's Home too, and the dads are like, what? Now some are excited while some are not, but chaos ensues and lessons are learned and it's Christmas time. But this one probably beats out Bad Moms because I think the cast was just a little bit better. I think the cast as a whole, including like the kids and the mothers in this film, they had more depth to them as opposed to Bad Moms Christmas. The boyfriends, the dads, and the kids, they felt like they didn't have much to them. There wasn't much depth to them, to their characters. But in Daddy's Home 2, I really liked the mother's kind of relationship, and the kids had a story, and I think the kids were cast so well. They did such a good job, and I honestly don't hear people talk about either of these films as favorite Christmas movies, but I love them both. The Daddy's Home franchise surprisingly was very enjoyable to me. I don't think I went into watching these thinking I'd like them so much, but I love the Christmas feel of them. I love the dynamics between the dads as well as the moms here, and it's just so funny. One of my favorite scenes is probably the scene where all the dads are just freaking out over the thermostat after Adriana kept turning it up. I've been their girlfriend, but now I wear a sweater. It's just classic. I love how no matter how different the dads are, they at least have that in common. You don't touch the thermostat. Congratulations, Daddy's Home 2. You won.
That's my list. What'd you think? Don't forget to let me know in the comments below what your list is, and let me know if I'm just insane. If you'd like to see more content from me, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Merry Christmas.